So I'm not gonna lie, I feel a bit nervous. I think it's because of my traumatic experience in Paris. I was presented my CI/CD talk, and I asked different questions to the audience, and they gave me just silence. So I didn't give up, and I went to random people and asked them directly. So if you're gonna give me silence, you know what to expect from me. Okay, so let's start. Let's get acquainted with each other. First of all, with you, of course. Can you please raise hand if you are QA manual and you want to be QA automation engineer? Wow, okay. I expected more, okay. Okay, maybe. We have a lot of QA automation engineers here. No? Oh, yeah. Okay. Great. So, and the last audience I also want to know about is someone who can help or manage some other people to become QA automation engineers. So, yeah, like managers, test managers, maybe mentors. If you're a QA engineer, I mean QA automation engineer already, maybe you have your mentees, like your students. Okay, so for all this audience, I hope my presentation will be useful today. If no, I'm sorry. So, now it's my turn. I'm Aleksandra Psheborovskaia. The main thing I can tell about myself that I'm really obsessed with QA automation. Really obsessed. And I will explain you how. So let's dive into my journey. I started 7 years ago. I was 19. And my first job was a software developer in test in Deutsche Bank. I remember I was so scared because I went from a C++ developer background. And when first time I saw Cucumber, I was shocked, like why people need to describe code in words. But after that, yeah, they gave me one of the biggest Deutsche Bank application to cover with automation tests. And it was application which transfers salaries to more than 1,000 companies in the whole world. I was completely shocked because I was intern. And I think I don't need to tell you more that it was very stressful experience. And after that, I tried to cover everything, and I realized that all these techniques we discussed before with shift-left approach and containerization, it's almost like not realistic to apply in such companies in big banks because of security, everything, all different issues. And I really was seeking for product companies experience, and I went to SEMrush. It's #1 marketing platform in the world. And actually, I went as a automation engineer, but first 2 months I covered with automation the whole project, and they suggested me to become QA lead of IT department. And then I also covered, I switched to QA automation 5-hour projects. It was desktop, web applications, and so on. And after that, I was invited to absolutely new product of JetBrains, which called Kadana. It's static analysis tools. It was really cool challenge because you have to set up a whole test automation for Dockers. So it's like Dockers inside Dockers. And it was cool. It's also, we had a lot of plugins, CDI, and different, not typical testing targets. So I was really happy, because it was a challenge. And finally, when I set up already everything there, I was invited to even more crazy thing. So we developed, first of all, I was a product manager when I switched to software developer in test, IDE for testers. It's called JetBrains Aqua, maybe you know it. It's one of the new product of JetBrains. We released it maybe 1.5 years ago. And it was really, really cool challenge because I have to cover desktop with auto tests, and it should support 3 different platforms like macOS, also Ubuntu, and also Windows. So technically, in terms of infrastructure, it's very difficult. And actually here, I learned the most how it's important to calculate return on investment before you start test automation. Because since that time, I believe this wasn't profitable to start this automation because it's very expensive. And as I was really, really obsessed with test automation, I decided to quit my job a month ago, and I set up a company, consultancy agency. It's called No Bugs. And right now we are providing help like in test automation for different companies and a lot for startups, because I mean, when you're a startup, you actually need to calculate different metrics before you start anything, or you're gonna lose money. And we have 24 companies, a lot of students, and our basically main target is building QA department from scratch or fixing existing QA department. Yeah, so that's why I can tell you that I'm a big fan of QA automation. Okay, and as for our students and general products, we have one of like the most popular workshop, and I notice here we have people who already work in companies we collaborated with. So probably you can join workshop without any effort from your side. Just ask your company to enroll you. So, okay, that was about me, my journey. I hope you enjoyed it also. And let's start with our topic. So, what is the plan? The plan is to discuss the way of transition from QA manual to QA automation. And we will start from statistics because I like numbers a lot. And we will discuss in general, do we need test automation? Then, if there is any difference between QA manual and QA automation, why we need it? Because we're gonna analyze what is the motivation for QA manual to make this transition to QA automation. And after that, we're gonna continue this experience, because normally people participate in conferences because of experience. So we're gonna discuss what is the point of no return when QA failed to transition. And after that, of course, how to avoid all these situations. And basically, I will tell about my personal experience. So that's it. And I suggest to start now, but can I see time? Yeah. Okay, so let's start. First of all, do we need test automation? What do you think? Thank you for answering. Yes, yeah, actually it's obvious. And when I tried to find statistics, I was really, really happy that people calculate ROI. And people say that more than 60 companies think that ROI was positive. That's cool. It's based on Catalan data. And yeah, answer is obvious. Yeah. Okay, what is the difference between QA manual and QA automation? Answer, please. Coding, yes. Price, good, yeah. Coverage, yes. Okay, so I was thinking like where to find data. The interesting fact is that USA is the biggest country which has like the most number of QA engineers per 100K people. So that's why we're gonna look at USA numbers. So, who is the QA manual based on USA research? As the person who, in average, earns this salary, not bad. Also, it's a person normally which has 30, like with probability of 38% education in computer science, and market size is like 165K people. And typical skills, sorry, gender, it's also important. Yeah, like 50% are men. And as for skills, so I think you're aware. It's like manual test cases, regression, QA, test scripts, exploratory testing. So it's like this type of skills. Okay. Now we are going to look, of course, to QA automation. Who is QA automation? I think salary, you think high or less? High, but for me it was a question like how much high. But okay, it's high, but actually not super high. Yeah. Yes, I think it's because it's average. Maybe we have to look at mediana, but okay. Okay, education. It's interesting, less computer science than in QA manual. Yes. Market size, of course, less. And gender, what do you think? High or less of men? Yep. Okay, and skills, also you're not gonna be surprised, it's programming, mostly programming. Jenkins, I don't know, like, when I start my career, we already use GitLab CI or GitHub Actions, so still I'm always surprised about Jenkins. But okay, so what is the difference? Yeah, because we try to understand motivation. QA automation earns more, that's the fact. Also, QA automation are fewer in number, so it means the higher demand, that's the fact. QA automation has higher percentage of men, the fact. And QA automation has to know programming, also the fact. Okay, so that's how we can understand that motivation for QA manual to this transition to QA automation can be pretty obvious. So this is, of course, salary potential. Everyone wants more money. No shame, right? Increased demand. So if you are QA automation, it means you have less competition, so it's easier for you to find job. Career advancement, yes, because people also who try to make this transition, they thinking about like, okay, I should grow somewhere. Where I should grow, of course, QA automation. Skills development, like programming and all of our computer science skills. And of course, long-term relevance, because I didn't add these articles, like this scary news, but you know, like QA manual, like the profession are gonna be deprecated, like we don't need QA manual, whatever, so AI gonna replace everyone, so yeah, you understand, that's why people think like I need to be relevant in long distance. Okay, so now we understand statistics a bit, I hope it was interesting. And we are coming to my personal experience. What is the point of no return when QA failed to this transition? It's gonna be honest, so how I feel. Okay, so let's start. The first, no return, it's no ways to apply skills, because I have been teaching a lot of different students and also in companies who made this transition. So the situation is like this. Okay, you decided to learn QA automation today, all of you, or all your students, your employees, whatever. They learned like Rest Assured or any tool. They try to write this first piece of code. And then, of course, they have to continue their normal work. And I love when managers, they do like this, they tell you, yeah, you have to be QA automation, but we're not gonna reduce the number of manual testing in your life. And you're like, okay, so should I overtime? Yeah, you should. And the thing is that you're coming back to work, there is no any attachment of QA automation in your work. So of course, you can keep going with your personal motivation, but finally, like 3 months later, you don't even remember what does it mean Rest Assured. So you just waste your time. And I saw so many attempts of people to do this transition, and they just waste time again and again. So it's first, no return. Like, what do you think? You agree or not? Yes? Great, thank you. Okay. So next, no return is no exact answers, because yeah, we have a lot of information right now. And when you Google something like which programming language to use, like as a first language. And when you get this answer like Java, and when you open another website and they say, no, you have to start from C++. And when you open again another website, they say, no, Python is number one right now. So you learn a bit one, a bit another tool, but you don't make any real movement in terms of your goal and in terms of mastering of one tool. So of course, I mean, it's frustration, it's procrastination, you're never gonna achieve your result. Familiar or not? Yes? Okay, you can say also no, but okay. Okay, no quick results. I really don't like this point because I have a lot of students who never had any computer science education. And they every time went to me like, Alex, why people who are really cool programmer, they cannot explain in simple words how to program, why they use all these terms. It's like to understand one piece of video, you have to Google like 100 terms before. And yeah, the whole journey become like a complete disaster. Like it's years and years, but you don't have 5 years right now to start computer science education from the beginning. So that's normal that you have to skip some topics. And how like a lot of mentors or teachers works, like you have to learn all these objective-oriented principles, when you have to understand the whole structure of JVM, JDK, JRA, whatever. And finally, in 1 year, you write your first test. I mean, it's also a bit, doesn't work. Okay, next, no return, very important. It's more like, it's not less hard skills, more like in general, like how it's called, philosophical. So, okay, everyone around you tell you you have to be QA automation, and you feel like this FOMO, fear of missing something, like I have to be. And then you try to explain yourself, because I need money, more money. I need to be more professional in my field. I have to get more awards on LinkedIn page. And finally, people don't achieve their final goal, because when I talk with them very honestly, it turns out that they never actually want to make this transition. That's why I think it's very important, because it's basically switching of career. You have to have very strong, true why. Like you have to be so passionate about this, otherwise you're not gonna make this transition. Familiar or not? No? I'm looking at people, they don't notice. Okay. Next, no return, it's can be obvious, no, I don't know, but I just collected the most popular one. It's no support. In terms of like, you gonna learn from basics, like how to deal with a lot of different things. For example, for me it was so interesting to observe students when they first time open IDE. I don't know what you use, IntelliJ, like PyCharm, WebStorm, VS Code, but when you open first time IDE, for a lot of people, it turns out it's very like scary. You have so many tabs, you don't know how to open file. For me, it's obvious because I feel like I was born with IDE, but yeah, for people it's difficult, and it's normal, but sometimes you can forget even how you repeat your previous steps yesterday. And for people, they need to support, they need to understand the whole troubleshooting, like I have this error, I have this, I don't know, like I don't have proper utilities on my laptop and everything. And of course you can ask ChatGPT right now. Yeah, if you don't have support, just set up AI assistant in ChatGPT and use it as a support, or find someone. So, and last, no return, which I'm gonna discuss here, is the hardest one, because people how it's called, they get used to be a bit delusional because again, they have this narrative, you have to be a automation engineer, but the thing is that not everyone likes in general coding. And some people, they feel very bad after coding, they feel like it doesn't bring any happiness to their life and that's normal. So if you feel like you don't like coding, you don't need to do this. Okay, so it was no returns I noticed, and right now we're going to dive into, I think, the most useful section, how to avoid this. And yeah, let's start, because we don't have a lot of time. First of all, know ways to apply skills. The most important part, if you are a manager, please, take care of it. You have to have transition strategy. If you don't have transition strategy, you're not gonna make any transition. What does it mean? How to apply your skills in your work life. Normally, if you are really lucky and you have at your work the real potential to use your skills, go to your manager and set up personal development plan where you're gonna say, from this period of time, I'm gonna work at least 1 day per week on test automation. And I will have less QA manual tasks. And it should be commitment. It should be like thing you cannot avoid. If, unfortunately, you don't have any chance to apply it at your work, go to pet projects. You have to find real pet projects. If you don't have, ask me. I will try to find for you startup. Probably you will end up by working with them. Or if you understand that you cannot find any proper task at your work, set up a commitment that you have to start applications in 3 months. I set up a deadline here because I know people tend to procrastinate this moment. They're like, no, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. 3 months, you're ready, okay? Because if we don't have feedback from market, we don't know anything. Market decide, no, not we are when we are ready. And key points here, set up a commitment. It should be commitment, must be commitment. And also prepare tasks in advance. If you skip this step, you're not gonna make transition. I can tell you 100%. Okay, next, no exact answers. Please, if you are a beginner or you have this problem with your students, tell them to forget about this switching because you have to choose one strategy. You can choose the most popular stack. I can tell you right now it's Java, Python, or JavaScript, 3 of the most popular languages. And then you just Google JavaScript, the most popular API testing tool, that's all. And you can also use the same stack as at your work right now, so you're just gonna copy it, that's also fine. And you can just open one guide, not 100 guides, only one guide, and just copy this strategy. It doesn't matter. So key points is like, don't overthink. Why don't overthink? Because tools in QA are replaceable. During my whole career, I have done test automation in C#, in Java, in Python, in Ruby, in Rust, so it doesn't matter. You have to know best practices, not like tools. Take one tool and become a master of it. It's the most important part. And then when you become master of one tool, you will add another one, another one. So that's all. Okay, so this is consistency and no return, no exact answers. Next, no return, no quick results. Also, it's very useful. Actually, I give you examples which really can help you a lot. So this trick, psychological trick, I found with my students. So you have to write first test as soon as possible, like as soon as possible. Normally, it's first 2 hours. Why? Because you need to overcome this fear of unknown. It's called also dopamine hit, right? So you just write the first test, repeating someone in, I don't know, if you have mentor, if you have video from YouTube, it's going to be video. Then get the main idea. You will not understand 80% of what's going on, that's fine, you don't need. And start learning unknown step by step. So just accept all this thing, because I know people are very perfectionists. They're like, no, I need to understand every line, every symbol. No, you don't have 5 years. And key points here, you need results to keep motivation. You need to have everyday dopamine hit, like I'm capable of making this transition, I can see results. Because you remember, if you see your first test in 1 year from start point, you're not gonna even see this test. Okay, And it's normal if you don't know all details. And I mean, normally people don't say this, but you don't need to be a super programmer to be QA automation engineer. Okay. As for next no return, the explanation why, you have to find your true final goal, and it should be very good explained in numbers. So set up your salary, position you dream to work. It can be even crazy, like if you dream to work in, I don't know, Google, Meta, why not? Prepare skills goals. This is really cool thing, because all my successful people who made this transition, they went to me with this bad experience, like I really hate my manual regression, I'm so exhausted, I cannot do it anymore, I really want to automate this. And when they had the real example of manual process they want to automate, for them it's a target. They can work for this every day. And if we achieve the previous no return, like we have these results every day, you're gonna have this dopamine hit again and again, you're gonna continue. And finally, you're gonna automate the whole regression. And of course, estimations, because I mean, we love to procrastinate. So agree with yourself about deadlines. It cannot be years and years. I mean, 1 year. Key points here. You cannot move without goal. It's in general the rule for any new activity. You cannot move with fake goal. You're gonna be burned out very soon. You will endlessly move without estimation. So that's the thing. You need estimation. Okay. The next no return is no support. So what we can do here, I mean, very obvious, find support. How to find support? You need your motivational team. Normally, you have community of goal mates, like people who also want to do this transition. So why people buy these courses, you know? Because in these courses, you have 100-hour people who try to achieve the same as you. That's why. So you just need to you just need to have these people who understand you, because your QA automation engineers at work gonna tell you, oh, it's so easy, why you cannot do this? And also find mentor at work or in community. And also if you're a test engineer, give the mentor to your QA manual engineer, but mentor who are interested in it. Not like mentor who hate this job, but someone who really wants to help. And of course, find support from close circle. Why? Because I mean, people sometimes they cannot properly estimate what's going on, because you're trying to make a transition in your career, and you need people around you who will support you while you programming till 12 every day and everything like this. So yeah, just be prepared. So key points. It's obvious that you're gonna have down moments when you are like, I'm not gonna make it, I'm gonna give up. And you need to see successful examples like our people who already made this transition. And of course, it's easier to switch when you have our switchers next to you, because you're gonna help each other. So yeah, there was no return for no support. And as for ignoring the preferences, yeah, as I said, it's one of the most difficult ones, because all previous, you can find it on the first layers. This one, it's really difficult to find, because people normally, I mean, they, I don't know, I don't want to generalize, but yeah, you so dived into this common idea about test automation in the whole world. So you feel like if I stay in QA manual, it means like I don't grow at all. And that's why it's really important to accept that you might not like programming. That's fine. Actually, I'm also not sure that I always like programming. QA automation, it's not the only way to for career to grow. And it's really cool. I know so many people who become from QA manual CTO, like product managers, project managers, analytics, different type of professions. So of course, QA automation is not only one path. And you also might enjoy QA manual. And that's all, that's fine, just the fact, that's fine. So key points here, don't push yourself to a job you don't like. And the statistics show it doesn't work, so that's why, because we like data, right? Okay, now I'm gonna share my personal experience by bypassing these no returns, because I think it's really a challenge. It's a big challenge for any test manager, any QA automation engineer, and also for QA manual engineer to help or to make this transition. And it's interesting to find like cool statistics examples that some approach really work. So I was curious to find it, and what I prepared such framework, which actually works. So you have to, if you want to make this transition, you have to write first test during first 2 hours of your transition. So of course you're not gonna understand the whole part, but you're gonna understand like, okay, by this code I click to this point, by this code I click to this point, and that's basic magic you need to get, because after that you can see actually you are capable of it, even if you don't understand what's going on. After that, if you feel like you like it, if you feel like you completely don't like this, so in this case just be QA manual, that's fine. If you feel like, no, that's fine, we can repeat the same exercise at least 10 times. So when you're like, okay, we go into the next step. Next step, a final goal. So here we have to set up the whole thing I explained you before. So just the complete persona you want to become with all skills, work, how your life gonna look like and everything. And after that, we are moving to real education, everything. And of course, not 5 years. Like maybe 3 months maximum. And after that, it's the key moment, if you can do this transition or not, if you have real tasks. If you have real tasks, you're gonna do this transition. If you don't have real tasks, I mean, you cannot, unfortunately. So if you don't have real tasks, you cannot do this transition. Even if you spend already 1 year for education, you will forget everything in half of a year. And if you have real tasks and you keep doing it, so in this case, yes, you're going to become AI robot. So, okay, this is good, like you say, like, okay, of course, you set up the whole presentation, funny framework, whatever. But no, I'm the person of data. I don't like bullshit at all. So I try to see if it works or not. So I have, by the way, free workshop for beginners. Original name is Babies, but I don't know if it's okay to put here the name of Babies. It's called Babies, yes. So statistics is like this. We have participants. It's 210. We had only 1 launch till this time. And from these people, after first step, like writing the first test during 2 hours, continued like 190 people. So our people, I'm not sure if they don't like programming, maybe they just, I don't know, people were like, sometimes they have motivation to do something, next hour they don't have, so I don't know. After that, API test was done by almost the same number of people, and UI test was done by a bit less people. And finally, with transition, we lost most part of people because a lot of people didn't have opportunity to use this experience at work. And for a lot of people who wrote me like, I need startup, Alex, I found startup, but they didn't show up. And sometimes it's really like unpleasant experience because I already discussed everything with CTO, and so okay. But transition was made by 50%. It's very cool. Before I had a lot of unsuccessful attempts, previous years, But this is by using this, this framework. So, actually that's all. So my main takeaway is like this. Reuse the experience of ours. For example, mine, I just gave you everything. Bypass all no return points and become a QA auto or a super QA auto. And this is my QR code for my LinkedIn. If you want to ask for any of this workshop or whatever, collaboration, if you work already in company we collaborated with, you can just ask for, we have very cool QA automation workshop for seniors, not for beginners. So, yeah, you're always welcome, and if you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions, we can move to Slido again. So we can go through the questions. You can go on.
What is your opinion on UK automate? No, sorry, it's right. It's the first one, right? What is your opinion on UK automate? What
the first one was highlighted.
Yeah, such a awkward user interface. Green. Okay. What tools did you use to test desktop apps, as you mentioned Aqua? For Aqua, JetBrains built open source IntelliJ robot framework. You can Google IntelliJ robot framework. So actually, I think behind it's Swing. So the approach the same as for testing UI. Every element of desktop has unique ID, and they build kind of fake HTML, the same structure like XML. And you can find the unique ID element, and after that you can interact with it. But it has much more issues than in UI, because it's not real HTML and it's fake built, so you have different gaps. But you can use it. What is your opinion on UK automate hires who know the tools but lack knowledge on what should be automated or basic testing rules? I don't know if you experience this, but in East Europe, we had a lot of problems. People right now fake their experience. For example, they never work in IT and they say we work already for years. Do you have it? No? No? I mean, I'm a very business-oriented person. I believe that market, the main judge is market. If it works, it means it works. What is your thoughts about codeless automation? I never seen in my life codeless tool, but I explored a lot because I was product manager for JetBrains Aqua, and I made a lot of competitors' analysis. Never seen in my life codeless tool which I would use. Is labor market mature enough to provide ready automation testers, or should you hire similar role and try to educate them? For example, in our consultancy, because of my personal reputation, people can trust and hire people from me. I would say it depends on personal opinion. My personal opinion that there is big lack of good education, because we have very strong computer science education in general, but still we didn't invest a lot of time to write books or some courses or some serious certifications to give the whole experience of test automation to some, official courses which people can use. So, yeah, personally, I try to educate by myself. Have you experienced burnout yourself? What are your plans for the next years? Yes, I experienced. We have these jokes in Reels, these seniors who are 2 years in IT and they already had burnout. It was me. I had burnout on the second year when I was quitting from Deutsche Bank. I tried to find new goal, new spark in test automation. When I had the same in JetBrains and the same, I tried to find new spark, something I didn't know, which would again excite me. So my plans for next year are to make my company no bugs, the first #1 on the market, at least in my native language, and then I'm going to switch to English and Spanish. So this is my plans. I hope it's going to happen. I think it's very challenging. How do you see the future of automation testing with AI tools integration? depends how AI tools developed, right? I mean, for example, if we are talking about AI assistants in write coding, like Copilot, or AI assistant in IntelliJ-based IDEs, I think it's going to speed up work, but with current implementation, it's not going to make any significant changes. So if we're going to create AI tools to solve problems, but not to earn money, in this case, maybe it's going to be a very cool future. It feels like it's boring, no? For people. No? How do I decide if it's worth to attempt upgrade manual testers to automation one if he has no programming background? First of all, he or she should ask you, like, really a lot. Like, please, please, please give me course, give me course. If they don't do it, really low motivation, probably they're not gonna pass this. So you can try to create environment where they will be like, they will feel this spark and they will feel this motivation. Without motivation, I wouldn't spend my money, because I have a lot of people who are, for example, I give a lot of free materials. One people are like, use like everything. They pass all home tasks. They really spend a lot of time. They send me all these messages, like their GitHub code, everything. I can see the effort. And some other people, they're like, they don't even open the materials. So I wouldn't spend time for the second part of people. SQA Auto, I don't agree that QA manual is necessarily some downgrade, especially if able to cover complex features over dozens of services in test analysis. I also didn't tell this, it was statistics, right, that QA automation has, in average, the higher salaries. So I agree that there is not a lot of QA manuals who can cover complex and difficult applications. So I agree. How do I understand QA? Do you see it like synonym for testing, or testing is a part of the QA? It's such not a practical question, so actually I don't even think about this. What is the hardest part of manual to automated testers transition? I think don't give up. It's the hardest part. Can you learn someone to be automated tester if you don't provide any real-life project experience? No, and we have real project experience. For example, in our workshop, we work with a real project, which is like really developed every day right now. And to test it, we launch, in general, 10 different Docker containers with a whole test infrastructure, and it's very difficult. For example, I always try to ask for feedback loop. Yesterday, I asked them, like, how are you? And it was the variant, like, it's very easy, I already know everything. No one answered like this. So, I mean, it depends. That's why it's important to build the whole project like real life, because if you just test, I don't know, one web page, it's not the same. Yeah. What would you give as an instruction to 20 years old yourself? Why you ask such questions? I don't know, just maybe believe in yourself a bit more, like something like this. Or it's gonna be fine. Thank you.
Okay.